Frank, captaincy at Melbourne Storm, when you look at the honour board, Cameron Smith had it for so long, and now we're back into a situation where we have two captains. Can you talk us through the thinking behind that?
Yeah, look, it probably started with Cameron actually. I think way back in 2019, as Cameron was starting to consider potentially not being his captain in his last final few years. Not that he didn't enjoy, he was very proud to be the Melbourne Storm captain and he loved leading the players, but he just felt the job was getting bigger and bigger with media commitments, sponsorship commitments. You got season launches. It was just getting the role was getting bigger and bigger, and it probably set up our mind. That's when we set up Cameron with the two vice captains of Jesse Bromwich and Dale Finucane. So they shared the leadership, even though there was an out-and-out captain in Cameron. And then it was the same last year, 12 months ago, when we decided to have two captains in Dale and Jess. It was for that reason. It was just the responsibility and workload of a captain in 2021, 2022 now. It's a lot bigger than it was 10 years ago, even probably 5 years ago. And it's only going to get bigger. So we just thought it's an opportunity to share the workload. And it's just not those two. They might be the captains, but we've also got a very strong leadership group. And Jerome Hughes, his first year in the leadership, he's going to have an important role on the field and off the field, but especially on it in leading the team. You've got Harry Grant, who's in the emerging leaders in a key position, Ryan Pappenhausen in key position. So we've worked on this summer is spreading that workload and responsibility amongst the players. But in terms of the two figureheads, we've decided to continue with two captains as we've done for the last few years.
Let's talk about Jesse, who's one of the legends of the club, closing in on 300 games. Might not quite get there with Storm, but it's a huge record, but it's his final year. So you'd be keen for Jesse to have a great year as captain as his finale.
Yeah, the fact that he won't be here next year played no factor whatsoever in our decision to ask him to be captain. We think that he is the best man for the job, so you pick the best players. It was like Cameron Smith in his final year, rather than getting anyone else to be captain, he was the best captain. So it's important we did that. He's a natural leader in terms of leading by example, rather than being a great orator and give great pre-game or halftime talks. Jess is about leading by actions, and he does that really well. He's a strong leader in that dressing room. He's very highly regarded by his teammates. They look up to him. So he's a natural. He's very much lead by example. Really enjoys the leading in terms of the game day and training aspects. Christian, this will be a new role for him. Welshie he enjoys the off-field responsibility that comes with being a captain. That's an area that he's always shown a passion for, working with sponsors, in his role with the RLPA, he's been a leader in that. So his big focus and big skill is the off-field role. So I think that they make a terrific partnership, whereas one's very lead by example, and especially on the field and the training field. Not to say Christian isn't, he is, but Christian is more natural away from the field as well, where the captains need to lead.
So this leadership program has been in place for a while, so Christian's had a good little upbringing through the emerging leaders into the leadership group.
He has, yeah. Look, they're both in the same position as were Dale and Jess. Ideally, you wouldn't want them in the same position because especially Christian and Jess will come off the field at the same time. But so did Dale and Jess last year. There were times that we didn't have either of those on the field. We had a fantastic system where last year it was Kenny or one of the halves would captain. And this year will be no different. There'll be times on the field anyway where we won't have either Christian or Jess being the captain. So we'll have to rely on one of the other leaders, whether it's a Kenny Bromwich or it's one of our emerging leaders in Jerome Hughes, Harry Grant, Ryan Pappenhausen. They'll step up, and we're very confident they'll do that and do it well.
When did Christian emerge as a leader to you? Can you pinpoint a time when you thought this guy could be a captain of our club?
Well, we saw very early when he was here in the under-20s. He captained the under-20s here at the club. I think he had leadership roles at school, so he was always shown leadership qualities, but very early on from his time at the Storm, he's been a leader, and someone that actually enjoys leadership as well. Some players don't enjoy it, and some people do, and Christian's definitely one of those. So as well as showing skill, he actually enjoys it, which is a big thing. So I think he will thrive. I think given that he's doing it with someone like Jess, who's got experience as being captain, will help Welshie, rather than him being that captain on his own. Plus the assistance of the other leaders in our club will help him in his role.
You mentioned Jerome, and he's obviously doing more on and off the field. Is he, his voice on the field, is it going to be larger than it was, or similar to last year?
Oh, it'll be more, but he won't be the only one. We've spent through Billy Slater, who's done great work with our spine, whether it's Harry, whether it's Hughesy, Cameron Munster, Ryan Pappenhausen. We've all asked them to lead even greater on the field this year. So yes, to answer your question, yes for Hughesy, but I can also say the same about all the other players that will play in the spine.
Who's going to toss the coin, Jesse or Christian? Who do you reckon?
Oh, I think Jesse he's got more experience at tossing the coin. It's a very important skill. It takes 12 months to master that skill, and he had a fair record last year just tossing the coin. So I think Jess will be tossing the coin most games this year.
And Captain's Challenge, that will be interesting with those two on the field together, if they're on the field.
Well, after last weekend, George Jennings had 3 consecutive successful challenges. I think we might make George our per player. No, I think that's... We'll come to that. We'll decide. We'll play around how we do that. But it's an area that you've got to get right, because you just can't waste challenges. And we'll speak about it and how the best process about doing it. But it's everyone has a bit of a joke, and we're flipping about it. Shouldn't allow front rowers or wingers to do it. So, but we will have a system, because it can be the difference between winning and losing a game if you get it wrong.
Now, it's always a joke in rugby league circles about front rowers not being too smart, and now you've got 2 captains who are front rowers. What does that say? We're not smart, or they're smart, or?
No, not at all. I mean, if you ask Christian, he's the smartest player in this football club. Look, I think it probably just typifies Craig Bellamy's coaching. He just likes to keep things extremely simple about doing your job, about effort being at the top of the list. And those players demonstrate that. So, as I said, I think we've really moved away when we had such a captain like Cameron Smith, who was such a dominant figure in this football club and on the football field. Trying to replace Cameron was always going to be an impossible task. So we've really gone on a shared responsibility project and program where we share that, and the players did that really well last year in 2021. Albeit we didn't have the ending we all wanted to, but if you take that last game away, I thought our leadership group did a wonderful job getting us to that position. And I think this year we have to improve again. So not just with Jess and Welshie, but also the other leaders, as I've mentioned.